Can we start? Yeah. Thank you, all of us, to help us to organize this event and joining us today. That will be a very informal event, so feel free to join and ask your questions. We are recording the event for internal purposes, but we can also edit it and then use it if you don't mind to be recorded. If you disagree and are not to accept recording, please say so. So we will stop recording now. And then during the meeting, we will share some information with you via chat, like the participant list and meeting notes, so you can feel free to contribute and add your name to those lists and notes. And then I will start with a brief introduction to our project, and there will be a hands-on session with Wikimedia and Wikidata. So the Connecting Archives, Connecting People project funded by the Imagining Futures project. We are really grateful for them to get the grant. So today, Today we will do the short introduction, and then there will be really informal discussion, and we have some set of questions to you, and then there will be lunch. There will be Wikidata and Wikipedia session, and there will be the hands-on session will continue. So during the breaks, you are free to continue to edit and add your comments. But if you want to take break, you are also take your break and then have your time. So I will give Charlotte Rouchet, our partner and MPI, to explain the BINDAS. Charlotte.
Hi. BILNAS, which is the institute which works on from Libya, formerly the Society of Libyan Studies, is like many of our BIRI institutes, British international research institutes. We have developed an increasing interest in looking at our archives, and that in our case was very much stimulated by the fact that working directly in Libya became much more difficult in the last 10 years. Before that, however, we are a very small institution. We don't have our own library or any library staff, and we don't have a building. And it struck me during this current project has been driven by the energy and vision of Nurdan and her team. And it's a real privilege to be part of it. And I've been learning a lot from our current archivist, Felicity, who is part of this group, who is a proper archivist. And I find myself involved in thinking about all of this and working out what it means to present an archive catalogue in a digital environment. And what makes the BIRI projects interesting, and this project interesting, I think, is precisely that we are very, very different entities. We have different resources in different places, different kinds of archives, and different staffing arrangements. We don't have a permanent staff who will be responsible for looking after our archives. All we can do is work with short-term projects, and Felicity has demonstrated how the right person can achieve a huge amount in a limited time. Though it leads down in the future, there are questions of sustainability, which we won't be going into today. But what became what became very obvious was that there are overlaps, that each of our institutes has knowledge and data about, in many cases, the same person. That was particularly obvious in the case of Bilnas, because the Society of Libyan Studies grew out of the British School at Rome. It was set up by people from the British School at Rome because of the close relationship and geographical position between Libya and Italy. And therefore, that brought home to us very early as I've worked closely with Alessandra, that you have people about whom Rome knows stuff and Libya, the Libyan Society, knows stuff. And there are other people, there are plenty of people who've worked with more than one of the Biri, or communicated with more than one of the Biri, just because of the nature of our work and because the national boundaries are modern constructs. So what Nurdan saw was that we should explore how to share our knowledge. And what that means is, for us as curators of our archives, is how should we structure the knowledge that each of us hold so that it can be shared with the knowledge that someone else holds. But in the digital environment, I think an archival catalogue is a new kind of product. Because in the past, if you were writing a book, a printed item, you would bring in quite a lot of additional information to explain to the user what was going on. You'd have lots of footnotes, say, when somebody was mentioned, saying, this person is that person, and this person was also director in Ankara, or was active in East Africa. That, in many ways, linked open data can be thought of as dynamic footnotes. That references are now of a different kind. And we are each responsible for the information which we hold, each of us. And we are only, and this is the thing I've been thinking about more recently from working on medieval prosopographies, we are only entitled to make statements based on the data which we hold. So if I talk about a person, and I talk about the dates of that person, in the purest form, we should only list the dates of attestations of that person in our record, our particular set of records. And it's quite difficult to do that because it is a different way of working, but it's something that we learned from working with someone called John Bradley on the prosopography of the Byzantine world. We must limit ourselves to saying things which we can document. And the one huge editorial intervention, the subjective intervention that we make, is saying, and I think that this person called John Ward Perkins in these documents is also the same as the John Ward Perkins in the British School at Rome archives. At that moment, we make a subjective decision, and it's jolly easy when it's John Ward Perkins, and it's a lot more difficult if the person is called John Smith. And it's quite important to make sure that or if the person is just someone referred to by initials. So I think that what's interesting is to consider what are the minima for which a small organization, which doesn't have staff, needs to provide to make their material useful, with a view to being able to collect and gather the information that other organizations hold. So that's the thinking that working on this project has brought, the conclusion which I've reached from working on this project. And I'm very interested to know how that feels to other people.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. So I will go back to my slide. So, and then as a BIA, we are working for the Turkey and Black Sea region. So while we were working together with other British schools, the BIRI partners, Rome, Athens, and Vilnius, we thought that we have some common elements that we can link our data and unlink our archives. The person is one of that. So during this project, we want to prepare the basic template, like Charlotte mentioned, and then discuss the issues about creating this person linked open data infrastructure. But it is a journey, so we have to start from the basic and then add the steps. So if you are a small organization and now with a limited capacity in a human resource budget, etc., how are you going to deal with your person data in your archives? So is there a basic way to go forward, or use some data from the linked open data platforms like Wikidata, YF, and other channels? So how are you going to assess and then understand that you have the good quality of data and then you can use it? So you need to verify your data to do something. So while we started this project, we also working with the partners and they are very kind and shared their expertise before us that they have, which is Beyond Notability project for modern British archaeologists, and the SNAP project, Snapdragon, the standards for networking ancient prosopographies. So they shared their ideas, and then we checked their guidelines, reports, etc. And also this was also discussed during Linked Past 8 meeting in York last year. So how are we going to create basic person lists and then make linked open data for ancient people in our archives and modern people in our archives? So there are basically two questions, two sets of people we have when we are dealing archives. So these are the projects that they're also doing prosopographies and linked data for person data. So I'm not sure that Gabi and Amara would be able to join, but we have Valeria here. So maybe she can tell something about this person prosopographies if she wants. I don't know, is he in school now at the university, Valeria? Yeah.
I don't really feel like talking about this. I've not been, massively involved in this, but I mean, I'm happy to join a general discussion, of course. I think the Gabi will be joining at a certain point. I don't know about Amara.
Okay, thank you. Nice to see you. So we will start the discussion. So if you have lots of archival materials in your archive, so how are you going to archive the people information from these data sets, let's say? So basically, who gets in is the first question. So what is your expectation? Maybe Charlotte can help me to enlarge this question, but how are you going to deal the person information in your archives? Or I can ask all the questions and then we can discuss all of them together, not one by one. So that's the first question: who is going to be archived in a standard way? Or what is the minimum of data required, like Charlotte mentioned, that we need to create for the person data? Who then enrich the data and when? So when are we going to do this process, and probably how? And then there is privacy and community sourcing challenges, issues. Are we facing with these kind of issues when we are dealing person data in our archives? And the last question: how are we going to create linked open data, or how to use linked open data for your archives? So these are the way, the set of questions we choose. So we would like to hear your ideas. Yeah, Valeria?
Oh, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We can start from the first one, and which is something that I've taught a lot about with Felicity, who is also here, and with Charlotte, of course, when we were, thinking exactly, okay, who are the people that we are interested in recording? And I think that all the BEREs more or less have at least two big categories of, people. And one is, let's say, famous or, demi-famous archaeologists and researchers and scholars who are probably British or Europeans or Americans. And then there are, people who are, locals, and, they're not famous, or they're not famous in Europe. Sometimes we don't have their names and so on. So we have at least these two, main categories. And I think that one of the first questions we need to ask is, are we interested in both? Is it easier to just start with, let's say the notable people, or, should actually our mission be to focus exactly on the opposite, on the people, who were not recognized? And for Felicity and myself, I think that the question became, who are we doing this for? So who do we think is going to use this data? So who are the users that we envision for this kind of information? And, this is an open question, because, to be honest, we still don't know. So I would like to know more, what you think about it. So do you think about this as a research tool, so that it will facilitate, let's say, researchers gathering, all the references to, to Joyce Reynolds that are in the BEREs? Or do we see this as a way to, give credit back to a number of people who contributed to this work and were not officially recognized, or both? And are we prioritizing one over the other as a first stage, or are we going in for, for everything at once?
Thank you for your comments. Anyone wants to add
I was
something?
just thinking, picking up on that in some ways it's a practical thing. The one thing about publishing online is that you cannot second guess what people will actually do with your data. So I think reading back, this is what they ought to do, but it doesn't mean this is what they will do. And I would be inclined to say that we came across this problem again with Byzantine prosopography. It's easy to put the emperor in and the famous commander. What about a soldier came to the emperor's tent at night with the news? That soldier's a person, and he was in a particular place at a particular time. My feeling is that you create an entry for every functioning human being. Not the name of the man whose tomb you've just dug up, but everybody, every active person, including some. When we get to photographs, there will be some anonymity. And I think you go for Bill Nass Anonymous 1, Bill Nass Anonymous 2, Bill Nass Anonymous 3, in the hope that person might one day stop being anonymous.
And I mean,
it seems to me an easier way to work is just put everybody in as you grind through.
When Felicity, I don't know if you want to chip in, but we, for example, I mean, we saw that there are, anonymous that come back in multiple photographs. So we have, a person we don't have the name for, but we have several documents attached to that particular person, which, if the person ever gets, identified, it may be useful to be able to say, okay, this person who we didn't know, the name, appears in 5 photographs in Bill Nass.
And it's one of these things where it's important to remember the limits of one's knowledge and not to disguise. I think the other frightening thing is being brave enough to say, I don't know. And a lot of one has a great instinct to protect oneself against that, to not say, I don't know, because it makes you look stupid. But ignorance and stupidity are not the same thing. Are very, very important. Children think they are, but they're not. And if you don't know, you don't know. And there may be somebody else who does know. And the best way to find them may just be to put the stuff out there and see what happens.
Just one last thing I wanted to add, then I'll shut up about this topic, which is probably my only contribution to this discussion, is that when Felicity and I discussed with some Libyan collaborators possible activities, possible public engagement events they may be interested in, the one that probably resonated the most, the one they got most excited about, was recognizing people in photographs and being able, to name them, and ideally to create an authority file for them. That was the thing that they were most excited about.
Thank you very much for all your comments. Does anyone want to say something? Add something?
Could I just add to that?
Yeah.
There's 2 categories of people. There's people in the country who know stuff. There's also the very old, because quite a lot of our archives have got pictures in them which could be recognized only by people in their 80s. So actually a bit of outreach to the older people may be another thing.
Yes, you are right. For example, in this case, we didn't know the people in our archive, but we asked this person, the Françoise, thanks to her, she identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, but we don't know this person, but it's probably the photo from Gaziantep Museum. So that maybe someone can identify this person. But in the beginning, we didn't write this information in our records, so that it is really difficult to identify people in the photos. So are we going to go, because as an archivist we have lots of things to do, so it is difficult to find out these people. So how much time we will spend to find it? Are we going to share it with the team members that they are old now, or the archive creators? They donated to their archive to us, because it's already too much task for them. So then it is better to open them to public somehow, maybe, and then to get their ideas and then identifications. but probably after that there will be a verification process again. I think it's Zafer or Hakan, Wikimedia person.
Yeah, me. This is all of the solution actually in Wikidata and Wikimedia Commons side. And this is not an issue about today, but for example, we can make a structured data for the Commons for that type of photos. We can add all who is showing in this photo. We can make it structured data on Commons. This is all of them solution in the Wikimedia projects.
Thank you. We will see the examples probably soon. So anyone wants to contribute to first question? I think the notability is important because during the imaging features we are also creating the egalitarian archives for several countries and for several archives. So is it just, Valeria mentioned, are we just grouping people by famous, unfamous, or notable, unnotable? And then also Charlotte mentioned that if there is person that is not like a soldier, but we don't want to count as a notable. So who is deciding and how is another question. But in the digitization projects, we have to continue. So we have to make a catalog and make it online. Otherwise, you will not be able to fill all the metadata fields. So then you will never open your catalog online. So we will go to the what is the minimum amount of data required question. So one or how much data added for one person will be enough for basic archiving, let's say. So if you find the initial, for example.
I think this is a very important question for a small organization with a limited amount of time. That if you are a full-time archivist in a permanent post, you can build more and more and more information. And there's lots and lots and lots of information it would be nice to have. The question is, what is essential just for connecting our data, for making our data connectable so that we can then carry on. And my feeling about this, we have to provide our own URI. We have to, if possible, we put in a Wikidata reference. If possible, we put in a VIAF reference. And we have a name which is, names, as we know, are very, very difficult. But the name that is used in our archive. Now, sometimes there'll be more than one name. Sometimes he's called John Smith and sometimes he's just called John, or sometimes he's called JS. But there'll probably be a sort of default common name used in the archive. But the important thing is to offer alternative names so that it's clear that he is sometimes referred to as JS and sometimes as just John. And those seem to me, so my model is URI, name, link references to outside authorities if they exist, but definitely links to the documents in the archive in which we have found this information. So the key thing, URI, name local data link. I should say, just at the moment, we're playing with this with my collaborators and technical collaborators. And what we would like to do also, it's a bit of a luxury, is to add date, but the only dates, not the birth and death of the person, because we don't necessarily know from our own archives, but dates when that person is attested in the archive. So occurrences of that person in our archive, because that's data that we know from our own knowledge. We have it in front of us. A Floruit, knowing when someone was born, that's external information. That has to come from somewhere else.
Yes, you are right. I mean that the person, when or what was the purpose of creation of this archive, because he was the director of your archaeology project, or he was the creator of the notebook, etc. So these are the important elements to identify the person in your archives. Yeah, I think OU is probably orphan, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. What you suggested is enough, I think. It's just a good, plain structure to define a person. But maybe there could be another field to give option to the person if he or she wants to be known on the online archive. Maybe the anonymization information about the person. We can offer an option if you want to be seen online or not. If he or she alive, of course. Maybe you want to keep this information on your own computer, on your local computers as offline, but that person don't want to be seen on the website. So that could be a useful metadata elements.
So I assume that how are we going to know this person wants to be anonymous or not anonymous? For living people, maybe that's then you should take the consent form for the new one for digital data and photographs. But for the analog material, how are we going to do this for some people? So we will come to privacy issue basically, but that is also the if example here. So the probably there is a photographer or creator of this say photo image, and there are some people in the image that we don't know, but the creator probably this person that we are citing here. I will make it bigger for you. This one. So maybe this photographer, we don't know, wants to be anonymous. So how are we going to, not anonymous, but I think anonymous maybe is the correct word, but how are we going to identify the person who wants to be visible or invisible in the archives, or also in the pictures? Maybe some person doesn't want to be shown, but we already digitized and made them because they are your project, the archaeology project, you already did. So they are from excavation team, they were working. So these kind of issues that we are also facing while we are creating this kind of template. So you say, David French, for example, that he doesn't want to be anonymous. I don't know. I mean, how are we going to distinguish the person wants to be visible or invisible?
Yeah, that's the issue with this element, I think. But for the living people, it's easier to ask them if you want to be seen online or not. But for the other cases, for the old records that we cannot reach the people or anything. I think it's about the ownership of the data. Maybe the ownership, the rights holder of the data is also have the right to decide about people. I think it's not really true in opinion about people's that it might be against the people's will, but it's just the first idea that comes to my mind. Who owns the data maybe also have the right to decide who will be seen or not. I don't know if there is any policy or laws or any practical examples that we can see right now.
We've certainly come across a problem, which is that when stuff were given to these archives over the last decades, there's an awful lot of questions we didn't ask, and an awful lot of documents that we didn't ask people to fill in because nothing like this was imaginable. And so people hand over their stuff saying, you know, this is yours. And even possibly you may use this for research purposes. What does that mean? So I think we have a lot of stuff which is messy.
Yeah.
And it may be that you just carry on and see what happens with the people who are dead. The issue of the living, if somebody's name is in a list, that's public, you know, this person worked on this excavation, that is known information. The difficulty could be photographs, but even more, perhaps personal letters.
Mm.
You've written a very angry letter to the director saying how terribly badly you think everything was done or something like that. You may not want that letter. Here we are, that like that. Do you want that letter to be in the public domain? Does it worry you? Again, most of them will be neutral, but it's a good example of the things, of the hazards directly you get beyond the essential.
I think there are some also the privacy issues, the ethical issues. Maybe it's not a correct word for ethical, but so this is the person who wrote a letter to someone and then kept in our archives. So we digitized it, made it online. So what is the sensitivity level to publish this, or what is the amount of data we have to edit into metadata? And then are we going to identify the people in the letter and then edit in our metadata again? So for example, this letter from Jim Coulton to Lonnie Beer. We know the date, we know all the text, but we didn't add into the person area here. We only said no Jim Coulton because nobody matched the Jim Coulton vocabulary to the person yet. So I think it's another challenge because, like Charlotte said, I mean, is it a researcher wants to access all kind of data maybe, but how are we going to make it easy for us, basic things, because we are sitting on, I don't know, maybe 50,000 photographs, more than 100,000 photographs. So we need to make it archiving and online, make it accessible. So, and also for the researcher side, how much data they will ask, and then it is useful for them again. So I don't know. I mean, it's a bit tricky.
It seems to me that there's nothing incorrect about saying item 123 is a letter from Jim Coulton and having it findable under Jim Coulton. The question may actually be whether you display the text. And of course, one of our problems with archives is that people imagined when they handed over their documents, they knew they'd be in the archive and that researchers might consult them. They didn't imagine this level of public accessibility. I think that's the thing that makes almost an emotional difference to people's attitudes. But I think it would be incorrect not to index it as being from Jim Colton, that you've got a letter from Jim Colton.
I'm also having questions from chat. So the white areas note in the chat says, what are the criteria for notability in this project? And then from Doha on, how do we deal with historic confidential labels on such correspondences? So it is also, so does anyone wants to answer? For our project, we choose that we want to take the people, the modern people, so we are not dealing ancient people.
Yeah.
And also we want to take that the person needs to create an archival item in our archives. So these are the two criteria we are going, but also we are discussing the issues about archiving the people in the photos or in the documents, like Poteli Boucher Ahmed or those kind of people. How are we going to deal? So like, are we going to say unknown person 1, unknown person 2, and then give a proper description for them, or like make them anonymous? So for our criteria is that if you are an archivist in a small archive, that you have to take the person name and then find out that what kind of material or which material he or she produced for this institute or archive. So then there is the connection to make a list for the person, because Gonja had an exercise for us during our project. So it is also time-consuming things to find out who is this person, created an archival item and which year or when. So that is also matching with the Charlotte's link to archive term, because you have to find out the person and then why it appears in your archive, the reason that you are taking in your list. Do we have another question? And I don't know the question for how do we deal with historic confidential labels on such correspondences. So are we going to take the National Archives rules, the 70 years, 8 years, or if it is confidential, is it confidential still?
Again, it seems to me that applies to whether you make the document visible, but it doesn't apply to saying we've got the document. We've got a letter from such and such a person. And, you know, you can go through the usual technical processes to come and see it physically, but we're not going to put it out on the web. We hold the digital version, and if you can produce the credentials, we could send you a digital version, but we're not just going to put it out in public. I think that might cover that.
Thank you. Alessandra?
Yes, I very much agree with Charlotte, because one thing is to say we've got this document and you provide descriptions. You're not providing access to a digital version of that document, and that's fine. And you can also say, when you describe access to a certain sets of documents, if the restrictions may apply to those sets, I mean, in your archive catalog system. And a different question is, you know, to publish online that document. So this is a kind of, I think, a sort of criteria that could help us, at least publishing things on our archive catalogs, and then specify if this material is accessible, then decide whether we can, go a little bit further and digitize those documents and make them available online. So yeah, I will stick to the rules that are provided or shared by the National Archives. We are trying to do the same here in Italy, because we are kind of covered by those rules. And so we stick to the rules issued by the National Archives in Italy. I don't know if this is useful.
We'll go on to... So the question comes afterwards. When and who will enrich the data? So if we start from the set of minimum data and basic criteria, and then let's assume we uploaded our image, and then it's a dynamic process. So the archive is growing, you are gathering new information from different channels, including community help. So who will enrich the data and when?
I can say something about it. I think the best way, after the archivists finish their work and the object is online, then it's really possible to ask for information from people online, and crowdsourcing is a good tool to gather more information about the people.
So,
and maybe the repository can offer a form or anything like that only for the people data, and they can just fill the information and submit it, or maybe other ways with email.
thank you. And then Jairo wants to say something.
Thank you. Just to weigh in the opinion that Orhan said, I think it's great to, well, crowdsourcing is obviously a good way to obtain information, and obtaining it directly from the person who owns or who knows the material. So it's great because it's almost like curated the information, even if we don't know the person. I think the only thing that we need to take care about is how to moderate that crowdsourcing and how to know that this crowdsourcing is from a legitimate source, and how to deal with contestant descriptions of material. Because if maybe you have a picture of I don't know, a person, a president, and some people want to tag it as murderer, and another people want to tag it as hero, and that could happen. And so we need to, that's another human decision that is difficult to make by the machine. So yeah, it's something that I think is how can we create some moderation tools, and obviously who will be responsible of that moderation in crowdsourced archives, or maybe when to reach these, or maybe when to do these crowdsourcing exercises, maybe in workshops, maybe with the same archive working with the people that's involved with the material. I don't know, but I that's the thing that concerns me with crowdsourcing. I love crowdsourcing. I think it's a huge, very great material. Sometimes it's more difficult to obtain the crowdsourcing than to block the crowdsourcing. But yeah, maybe some things could be problematic. I think Wikipedia and Wikimedia did a great job in that. So maybe their experience is also something that we can think about how to do that, or how to create a collective of people that can volunteer in doing this moderation. So that's only that.
So I like the idea of workshops. I think getting people, some of my experience of crowdsourcing has not been that people do too much, it's that they do too little. Because actually what we're talking about is quite hard work. And I think another route is to think about traineeships and develop saying, come and work on our archives and we'll show you how to do it. It could be you're doing a doctorate on this particular subject and please will you, here's a part of your doctorate is going to be working on these data. That's one way. And another way is you're doing research and you'd like to develop your research skills, come and work on our archives for a bit. So I think it might be because lots of people can't be bothered. And I think as a training, as helping people to think and to understand how to use documents, this could be quite a useful, quite interesting to think about how to sell a package of come and work on this material to people. My instinct is that to begin with, we should think not so much about crowdsourcing as community sourcing, and that it's targeting appropriate communities who might be interested in getting involved. But I think the key thing is it's probably better if you have a limited amount of time to work on the archive, it's going to be better to get the basic structure in and hope that you or someone else will come back later and start filling more stuff out. That's why just determining the essentials is important, so that you can do a sort of quick and dirty to begin with the idea that you or someone else will come back and do the next bit or bits.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think immediately that is two things happening again here: the privacy issues and the verification issues. So how do we know that the community sourcing is giving correct information to us for these images or for archives? So do we need another human resource to work on this information? That is, so how are we going to do this? So are we going to say in the archives, these images tagged by crowdsourcing tool, blah, blah, and then by blah, blah, or we don't need to give the names, who did it, we don't know. So it is a bit like, I mean, do you want to be visible in the archive? Again, it's another question about the privacy. And then if you don't want to be visible on the archives, do you prefer to be tagged on an image, etc.? Yeah, Konstantina.
Yeah, just a tiny thing that I would add here. I think another question is how you formulate these questions for crowdsourcing, how we work on the tools in order to request specific information that can be at the end sort of moderated and checked. I think part of our work could also be in developing these tools, just so the form, but also, yeah, the types of the questions that are being asked are specific and then goes back to easily moderated.
Maybe, I'm not sure about it, but maybe instead of creating a form asking for lots of information about the person, a direct link to the Wikidata or any other authority source might be more helpful, so the verification problem can directly be solved on that site. I mean, instead of creating a new person on the web page, you can directly ask a Wikidata information of this person, so you directly link the data and you are not totally responsible of the verification of the information about that person. Maybe Wikidata part can solve this problem before the data comes to you. I don't know if I could describe it. But yeah.
Maybe in the second part, the Wikipedia people will answer some of the questions. But immediately one thing came to my mind. If there is a photo in the Wikidata, so if you have a photo, probably you have photo to take, so the image recognition system maybe will help us that this is the same person, only the age changed, or like, so you know the project that he is the excavation director, and then if you link the data to Wikidata, so the Wikidata gives the information about the project, so you know that this person worked on that project, so that there is another verification process. Yeah, but are we going to use the Wikidata channels or Wikicommons channels, and then to tag the pictures, images, or are we going to add new tools in our systems that systems are becoming more complicated? Like, yeah, the Wikimedia person, I think Zafer or Hakan.
Yeah, actually, Wikidata is quite suitable for that, but the idea behind Wikidata is to link different repositories so that the information in your archive is available to other repositories that have different or diverse information about the item. So I'm not an archivist, so but my suggestion would be to enrich the information about the item with the information you have in your archive. For the rest, you should link it to the Wikidata and Biofile in other repositories so that more information can be retrieved from that. And also, I want to mention how Wikidata enriches its data. Wikidata has a vast amount of tools for importing data because manually editing, unlike Wikipedia, databases manually editing is not feasible in most cases, and we will see it in my presentation also. So I think it's something about the software you use for the repository management. You should have tools to import mass data, which will filter messy data and eliminate human error in the manual editing. My also suggestion for managing data.
I try to understand, very difficult, but maybe you can show one example to us to make it more clear during the exercise. But yeah, definitely that because it is also difficult to create these systems. So when we try to add more things in the systems, they are getting more complicated. So it is better to try to open our data and vocabularies, and then use other tools and open softwares to link and increase the content for the digital data site, let's say.
Also, when you have mentioned crowdsourcing by putting up forms for people to input their data. That's also with the new evolving web technology. There are user interface tricks that can help people enter data more accurate. So Wikidata uses them very much. And let me give you an example. Like if you are entering information about a person, it gives you options limited to the humans, so that you don't add the location to a human, or when you are entering birth date or any other information about human, the information goes through validation check in that input form. So this is about also software, but with all the technical issue, but it's also possible to fix human error at the form itself.
You? Anyone wants to add something? Yeah, Gabi also joined, I guess, to say maybe we can tell something about these ancient prosopography things in a few minutes if he wants. So we will come to this community sourcing issue, to the linked open data issue, and then how are we going to use Wikidata kind of tools or Wikicommons to tag and do the crowdsourcing for our archives. Where do we start? Or how are we going to use linked open data for us? So I can explain a little bit more what is happening in the linked data world. So basically, you're publishing something. If you make it online on your website, and then put a license and make it available, so this you will get 1 star. So if you make it exile with a structured way and make it machine readable, so you will get 2 star. And then if you make it CSV instead of exile, so you will get 3 star. And then if you make it use specific IDF, the Sparkle standards, that you will have better. And then, so if you link your data to other people's data sets, then you will have a 5 star in this linked data world. So basically, we are in this process in the digital archive world, more or less. So trying to enrich this level. So the people are discussing how are you going to share your data with other partners, both machine readable and human readable. So and then link to data. So basically, so we know the person name. Sometimes we know the birth date, but we don't know usually for our archives. We know the birthplace, but we don't know the place that he or she died. So that there are some missing information for the person, but for our archives, like the minimum requirements, we are only interested about the person name and the authority link and the archive to our material. So we don't need to create all these additional information for the person. So how are we going to get this additional information that it will be useful for our researchers also? So that this is a very old thing that the people are linking the person information to authority links. That the one thing is the verifying person. So most of you know the Library of Congress, WIAF, Wikidata, and then these kind of authorities. And also it is that they are putting Wikipedia information, they are putting alternative names, and they are putting all the bibliographic information. But when you start archiving this one person in your archive with all this information, that you have to spend a lot of effort to find out each information. So the idea for us that if we know the person name and the full name, we can give an ID to this person and then link with one authority. So we will discuss authorities now with the Wikidata people, how much authority we need. And then if you know the alternate name from your archive or the initial, you can add. But the other data will come from Wikidata, so that you connect this person with all the information and then in the image in your catalog. So this is the all kind of archivists. We are struggling to create these data sets for our archives. So how are we going to do this? First, basically, we are creating a basic list with finding information from our archives. And then we are writing full name, if possible. We are giving an ID to this person. We are linking to our archival material, that is the person who was directing this project and creating this archival material. So, and then there are some desirable fields that we can add. This person was the director, this was the photographer, this was the blah blah. So additional information can come. And also there is via Library of Congress Wikidata information that we will put. In the second part of the workshop, we will show you how to make how to get Wikidata information from your list, and then also how to send your data to Wikidata. So then you will be link your data with Wikidata. And of course, in this process, still there is human resource needed, because you have to verify and correct the person information for your archive. So we are checking the information manually and semi-automatically now. I think that people are discussing how to, they are using other tools like OpenRefine, etc., to verify these people's information from other channels. But for our archives, we couldn't find another solution. The automatic solution to create a list and verification of these people. So this is the basic thing. So at the end of the scenario, maybe Gabi can help us, so that we are putting online with a URI like this. So it doesn't matter. It can be an ancient site. It can be a person. It can be an ancient person. So you have to create your own URI for this person with an ID, and then publish this. So it will be useful property for other sources. So this is very basic of the link data that I understood and trying to apply for the person data. So that, so one example, so that we are recording our projects because they are excavation projects mostly. So you know, this is the project director, is this person. Also, this person become a photographer or supervisor of this project also. And also sometimes this person become a, like the botanist, the collector of this material. So the person may have different roles in the archives, but they have very specific task or job they did for the archives, which is the director of the archive or the curator of the archive, etc. So you have to identify what is the element that you have to connect this person to your archive. So these are the specific examples, and then this is the example that we did it for linking data with Wikidata. So this is the David Branch, and this is the BIA director, and initial is DHF, and we give a local ID, and then we give the other authority sources links. Behind the system, we have a list of people. So when you open the David Branch, you see the authority sources information, and then but we don't add the dead date, birth date, etc. All these different kind of information in our system. So the aim is to send to Wikidata, and then again from Wikidata to come and find us more archival items related to this person. So this person is basically the quiz maker, herbarium specimen collector, project director, creator of the archaeological document, etc. So that one person should have many different roles. So when you come to Wikidata, so the person number is this, and this is the Wikidata URI. So it doesn't send you to BIA, but we made an example with James Russell. We will show you. So the one we add our British Institute at Ankara, I will make it bigger. See, ID here. So you will click and then you will come to our archive. So basically we are linking our data for person data sets in order to increase the content in Wikidata. Also that it will make us more visible as an archive. So there will be more things, will be more research or other things can be happen from our archival material. So basically this linked open, how are we going to go to this linked open, how to use linked open data, and then how are we going to link open data for our archives. So that was another discussion for our project. And then we found that there is, that you have to create your own small database for your person and then create URI first. So then it brings another question. How are we going to sustain these data sets or databases that we are creating for this kind of work?
Well, I think the key thing is that linked open data is what makes it possible for, we are responsible for our own data and its analysis, and we are responsible for claims about its relationship to other data. Those are two responsibilities, and other people will make claims as well. They will have a person and they'll say this is the same person. But the key thing is that what our individual catalogues are each indices of the archives which we hold. And it's linked open data that then makes it possible for that all to come together as a person. And it's a new world, and it's incredibly exciting, I think. And it means it requires great academic rigor, which I think is super.
Everyone wants to say something, and I'll show this one to link my presentation to Wikidata. So this is that we are talking, that is the person name and the item identifier you need, and you need a URI basically. The other, and a very basic description for your archive. The others are the statements are coming from Wikidata that then when people add more information and enrich the content in Wikidata, so you will have more information through Wikidata. So this is the basic structure of the data for the person in Wikidata, basically. So, hi everyone, welcome back. We will start in 3 minutes. Okay, so I will introduce Başak from Wikipedia, how you call it? Wikimedia from Turkey. So she will start with Wikipedia, and now we will continue with Wikidata and hands-on session with Zafer and Hakan. Yeah, I think we can start.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Başak from Wikimedia Turkey. I am a long-term editor of Wikipedia. This session will be mostly on Wikidata, but As Nurdan Hanım also just 1 minute ago said, it's really confusing. What is Wikimedia, Wikipedia, Wikidata? In Turkish, we say Wikipedia. All this is very confusing sometimes. So Wikipedia and Wikidata are two sisters. Wikipedia is the older sister. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Wikipedia. So we want to start with talking a little bit about Wikipedia. You might ask, well, we all know Wikipedia. What is there about talking about it? But we want to talk a little bit about from an editor's perspective, tell Wikipedia from an editor's perspective. And first, let's talk about this confusion about Wikipedia, Wikidata, Wikimedia. I said I'm from Wikimedia group, and I'm an editor of Wikipedia. What do I mean? Wikipedia is a website started 22 years ago in 2001 as an English website, and very soon became a multilingual website. Turkish version was launched in December 2002. We called it Wikipedia. And in 2003, a foundation was founded in United States for supporting the infrastructure of this multilingual website. The mission of this foundation is empowering global internet users in collecting and developing educational content and share it for free with other people, so that everyone will be sharing their knowledge easily and accessing knowledge easily. And for this reason, Wikimedia Foundation, the tool is supporting Wikipedia and its sister projects like Wikimedia Commons, Wiktionary, Wikisource, Wikibooks, Wikivoyage, and the latest member of the family is Wikidata. But first we will talk about the older sister, Wikipedia. You might all be familiar with the pages of Wikipedia. Here I share you some screenshots from Turkish Wikipedia. In Wikipedia, you find articles about several topics like you find in paper-based traditional encyclopedias like Meydandarus, Ana Britannica. You find knowledge about culture, history, science, but in Wikipedia, you also find topics, articles about very current events, things about popular cultures like Netflix series, etc. And no matter what the topic is, as you see, they are all similar. There's a title, a definition, a lead section, some subtitles like etymology, history, etc. At the end, you find references. On the right, most of the time, you find info box or images, maps, etc. We know all this. Almost every internet user are in some way being exposed to this structure, these pages, Wikipedia, because Google brings these pages in front of us at top of the search results. We all know this, but not every internet user even asks this question: who brings all this knowledge together? Who edits Wikipedia? Are there some robots working behind, or are there some paid editors working on this? The answer to this question of who edits Wikipedia is very simple. All Wikipedia pages are created and updated collaboratively by people like me, Zafer, Hakan, Nurdan Hanım, ordinary internet users. Do all the job. There are no paid editors or robots working behind. It's a volunteer work. We call these people who edit Wikipedia Wikipedians. How we do this? Are those people getting trained, getting provided some special permissions, authorizations to edit the pages? No. Are there anyone who have tried editing Wikipedia in the group before? Maybe you cannot digit. Yes, Nurdan Hanım tried. Well, we're all familiar with Wikipedia. I will explain how we do this, again, by sharing a screen page of a Turkish Wikipedia article. We are all familiar with this page. We said there's a title, definition, lead section, info box. You all know this. I think there's one person who have tried. Yeah. But on the top, you see some tabs, like in English version, it says article, discussion, edit, source edit. Many people do not recognize these tabs. Because they start reading this title and the definition. But on the top, there are some tabs. And if you click on edit or edit source tab, and text editor is opened, like Microsoft Word or Notepad, you can simply bring the cursor to any place that you want to change, you want to add something, and start editing. You see a message, now you are editing Wikipedia pages. For many people who discovers the edit button, it is so scary to see this message. Now you are editing the Wikipedia article. They say, okay, I shouldn't touch, maybe I will give some harm. Many people do not even recognize that those edit link over there. Those who recognize and click on this link are afraid to use it many times. But those bold people who uses the edit button are called Wikipedians. They're all over the world. Most of the time, they are anonymous people who do this job, editing, as a hobby, and they want to just simply sharing their knowledge, their skills, digital skills, translation skills, and knowledge sources available to them. For those people who do not have those sources, who do not have those skills, so that they want to fight with disinformation on the internet, or just bring some kind of knowledge equity in the internet world. That is a volunteer work, basically. And I said there are many different language editions of Wikipedia. Do you know how many editions are there? Maybe you can make an estimation, write a number in the chat. When you read an article, probably you are using English Wikipedia articles, but on the right or left, there's a list of many times in what other languages this information is available. Maybe you have recognized. There are some 20, 50, please go up. These are very low numbers, and I will give you some clue. Those are some of the language versions that are available to Wikipedia. 120, you still need to go up. You still need to go up, and I'm giving the answer now. There are more than 300 language editions in Wikipedia. We can look at it in one example as well. Some of those languages are very small languages talked by very little people in the world. Like the last one, Inarisami, is a language taught in Finland by about, I don't remember how many people were speaking, a few thousand, right? 3,000 or something like this.
As I remember, the 300s, it was.
Yeah.
It is in Finland.
Yeah, in Finland. Those are languages under risk, and creating Wikipedia, editing it, updating it, is a way of protecting languages for those people many times. And in other languages like Turkish Wikipedia, like Turkish spoken by millions of people in the world, contributing to Wikipedia might be a way of fighting with disinformation and sharing your skills with others, helping people who don't have your sources. But there are more than 300 languages, and they're active ones, being actively updated nowadays. Many people who are editing to Wikipedia are usually anonymous people. We don't know who they are, we don't know their faces, and they don't know each other. Most of the time, we know each other only as usernames. But in many countries, some Wikipedians come together, become more visible, and form some sort of formal or informal groups to talk again collaboratively, to think collaboratively about how we can create better content, how we can enrich Wikipedia and sister projects, how we could make it more useful for education purposes or for health purposes, how we could collaborate with institutions like archives, libraries, museums, make the sources available to them, more accessible to general public by using Wikipedia, Wikidata, Commons Wikimedia projects like this. People are working on this in groups. And at the beginning, I said I am from Wikimedia Turkey. Wikimedia Turkey is one of those groups as well. Me, Hakan, Zafer are members of those groups. And you might be asking, in 22 years, with the efforts of so many people, individuals, and organizations, how many content has been created? I might ask. Well, the largest version of Wikipedia is English Wikipedia. Do you have an estimate how many articles we have in English Wikipedia? Maybe you can write on chat. This is a much harder question, I know. And I will share the answer. In English Wikipedia, there are 5 million, that's close, very close, even more. We have more than 6 million articles in English Wikipedia. Yeah, bravo. I think the most current one is the answer written in, Melo Flores' answer. It is the most current one. There are more than 120,000 active users in English Wikipedia. They are from all over the world, of course. English is a global language. And more than 6 million articles have been created in English Wikipedia in 22 years. And what about Turkish Wikipedia? Well, because we are Turkish, we are mostly interested in this. In Turkey, we have only about 3,000 active users, and therefore have a little bit more than 500,000 articles, which is very few, because Turkish is a language that is spoken very widely in the world, but contributions to Wikipedia is very low. Therefore, we created this user group with my friends, Hakan, Zafer, to encourage people to contribute Wikimedia projects, and we work with universities. We organize contests, photography contests, editing contests, and make partnerships with museums, libraries, archives, etc., to make especially the content in Turkish Wikipedia much larger and accessible. You might ask, but okay, you are encouraging people to contribute to Wikipedia, to use this edit button on the top of Wikipedia articles. But if anyone edits, click on that link and start editing, isn't it become like a chaos? Aren't there any rules? Yes, of course, there are many rules in Wikipedia, rules and list of help pages and very detailed instructions to write Wikipedia. You don't need to read them. You don't need to really learn them, because intuitively, if you add any information with good intentions, you would not be giving harm to Wikipedia. But I want to talk about 3 basic rules about editing Wikipedia, which would be useful for new beginners. And useful for you to understand how Wikipedia works. There is only one rule for adding any pieces of knowledge to Wikipedia, is that it has to be verifiable, which means that people, the readers of the Encyclopedia, can check the information from other reliable sources. and what are the reliable sources. We don't accept user-generated content, like content in social media channels, or self-published media, or primary sources as reliable sources. So if a user adds anything to Wikipedia, it might be correct and very useful information, but it will be deleted by other users checking and reading this information. It might be deleted just because the source is not written. For example, or the source is not relevant source. When you write, let's create an article about a library, let's say, you might see, well, we have a website of the library, and there is this about section on the website. I can simply summarize this to and write to Wikipedia. No, it is self-published media. So if you don't use any other sources, it probably will be deleted from Wikipedia. You have to follow the rules about the sources, and definitely you must add source to your contribution. You must explain where it does come from, and it cannot be just primary sources. My teacher told me so. It is not acceptable. And rule 2 is, yes, what we are doing here is just summarizing information in other secondary sources. But when we are doing this, we don't copy the text. That is very important. We must write all articles in our own words. Wikipedia is very sensitive about copyright issues. That is also important for images. We cannot simply search on Google Images, find something good for the content, explaining the content in the Wikipedia article and upload it to Wikipedia. We only use the content, the images or videos or graphics created by us, by volunteers, and shared with open licenses, or we search for public domain images and material to share at Wikipedia. Maybe you have seen some pages of, let's say, authors or singers in Wikipedia. They have some photos, but very bad photos, like taken from a long distance, although you can reach to images of this person, very good images when you search on Google and search engines. The reason is that probably that photo is taken by a volunteer in a concert, in a book signing day, etc., and not a professional photo. We cannot use those nice, good professional photos on Wikipedia. So we are trying to make, some volunteers are trying to make agreements, partnerships with archives or libraries or public or any other institutions that will share such good images for Wikipedia. And the last rule is about the issue of about which topics I can create Wikipedia. Can I create a Wikipedia article about any topic? The answer is no. Most of the time, new users who come to Wikipedia think about creating an article about themselves or about their business, etc. And those articles are deleted because the topic is not notable. Notability means for Wikipedia is that the topic has to be significantly covered in reliable sources that are independent of the topic. That's again, when you want to create a web page, a Wikipedia article about someone, about yourself maybe, you have to make sure that, are there any books written about me? Are there any academic articles about me that are available for other readers? If no, you cannot create an article about yourself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. lastly, what I want to share is, despite all these rules, all these efforts, all these volunteers, what we have created at the end is not a perfect website. Wikipedia is not a perfect knowledge source. Even the logo of Wikipedia tells that it's not perfect. It's a globe consisting of letters, and it has missing parts. It will always have missing parts. One reason that it is of the fact that Wikipedia is not perfect is that we said that anyone who clicks on edit button can edit the pages, and not everyone is like me, you, Nurdan Hanım, Hakan Zafer. Some people are just trying to edit Wikipedia pages for advertising. They see this platform as a platform for advertising themselves, their products. And for some others, it's a platform for making propaganda of their own worldviews. And for some, it is just, they find it very funny to be able to change facts, delete some knowledge, or write very stupid things. We call them vandals, and Wikipedia is a platform that is being exposed to vandalism a lot. And in any time, you might come across with the work of vandals at Wikipedia. Such edits remain there until me, Hakan, Zafer, Nurdan Hanım, or any other volunteer in the world comes and fix it. But the problem is not only those vandals. When we contribute to Wikipedia with all good intentions, and we might be reflecting our own biases, our own limited worldviews, not sharing, covering topics from all perspectives. So the work created by us might not be perfect, but there are good news. There's this edit button on top of every page. So when you recognize any mistakes, any uncovered topic, you simply click on edit button. This platform gives you the power to edit, to change, to share your knowledge, your skills as well. And we have to use this power. That's why we are making all these efforts. So that was my last slide about Wikipedia. We are just inviting everybody to be bold, to edit Wikipedia pages, because you cannot break Wikipedia. It's not ceramic. You can simply add and learn editing Wikipedia just by trial. It is not that difficult. So it's the older sister of this family. We will continue with Wikidata, and there are lots of projects that you might find relevant for your interests, like contributing by taking photos, uploading photos, creating videos, making translations. It is a really good place to take to spend some time on. That was the end of my presentation about Wikipedia, and I would like to learn if you have any comments or questions. Did you hear anything new about Wikipedia in this presentation for you? You learned that it's not 50, 100, it is more than 300 Wikipedia versions.
Thank you, Başak. Yeah. And we will continue with Zafer if you don't have question.
But you can create any Wikimedia project, even English Wikipedia or Turkish Wikipedia or Wikisource or Wikicode, any project you can create a account. this account using globally all Wikimedia projects. When you enter the any project, there is a top of the here is a create account and login. If you have a one username, you can log in through the here. It's your username.
Did you start the presentation or just
I will show the direct to that one. After that, Hakan make one presentation about Wikidata. After that, he also show on the live on Wikidata. Okay. If you want to create an account, you are clicking to here, and then you are choosing a one username. Usually, we are not suggesting to name and surname. Usually, you can choose the this real name. We don't suggest your real name. For example, we can choose the test accounts. Test account for training, let's say. Yes, we can choose now. And now I'm giving a one password. And email is optional, but if you lose your password, you cannot take your username again. We are suggesting you enter your email address to here, and then write to this CAPTCHA, create an account. This is very easy, as you can see. For example, now I sign in with this account, and also I can use in English Wikipedia even. I'm now entering to English Wikipedia. Login. And as you can see, this is login now on the English Wikipedia. It is very easy for create an account, and you can use the all projects, all languages, Wikipedia, and all projects. The same account, and it is showing to the all data in this account, and also you can follow your contribution from here. For example, I will now enter my own account. My username is the Zafer in Turkish Wikipedia, in all projects actually. For example, this is my account. This is the Turkish. I'm returning to the English. Yeah. If I click to here, contribution, I'm seeing my all contribution here. You can follow your contribution also on the this list. Is there any question about it? Clear so far. Okay, super. If you want, we can take a break because we have a short time. After that, we can start with the Hakan's presentations.
After that, we will continue with the hands-on session then.
Yeah.
Should we start?
Yeah, we can start, I guess, I think.
Okay. I'm starting. Hello, everyone. I'm Hakan. I'm one of the volunteers of the Wikimedia project, sister project Wikidata, as Başak mentioned previously. I will talk about linked data and how Wikidata plays a vital role in helping us connect and understand information better. So what is Wikidata? Simply put, Wikidata is like an enormous online library. It binds different pieces of information from all over the web. The exciting part about it is all of us, including you and me, can contribute. This was also relevant in the Başak's presentation about Wikipedia. It is same idea behind this project. But of course, this freedom to edit comes with responsibility for volunteers, ensuring that the info we add is accurate. So why should you care about Wikidata? Why it is important? Wikidata gathers data from various sources into one easy-to-see place. It organizes this data so that it's reliable and easy to understand. Also, for those interested in more technical side, it's a helpful starting point for machine learning and deep learning. Of course, Wikidata, like Wikipedia, has an inclusion criteria. First of all, the information should be significant or notable, but notability doesn't necessarily mean fame. Not only the famous people get on Wikidata. It is what's needed to make the existing items whole. That means in Wikidata notability guidelines, it's called structural needs. So if you need, then describing an item, if you need to add related items, those are notable, those are to be included also. And of course, importantly, there is a community, includes people like you and us, ensures that this information is relevant. So I will talk in detail about properties. Every piece of information on Wikidata has what we call properties. You can imagine them as descriptive tags. These tags help provide more detail and connect data, enhancing our search results. Search results like queries and other searches. To give an example about properties in Wikidata, imagine that you have a toy car. For the toy car, a property might be a color, and the value for that color could be red. So in Wikidata language, when we mention the toy car's color, color is red, that's called a statement. Yeah, as I said, color is a property and red is the value. So that's how you define an item like toy car. So properties not only are to colors and sizes, like that stuff. Also, there are properties to connect Wikidata to other databases, like websites and repositories. So if in this example, the toy car was like a famous toy brand with a unique code on another website, there would be an external ID property in Wikidata to connect it to that database. So to give more practical examples for archives in Wikidata external IDs, just like this toy car example, Wikidata, many items in Wikidata already have unique IDs that connect them to the big libraries, museums, and other databases. For instance, there is a special ID that directs you straight to a book in the Library of Congress. These unique IDs make it very easy for researchers and curious people to find specific items or information in larger collections. It's like having a direct address to the exact spot where you can find what you are looking for. So that was about it, talking about Wikidata and what is it and how it's necessary. If you have a question about this part, I can answer it, or we can go ahead with the hands-on part. Then I will stop sharing and I will share my browser.
One reminder, these tools are with Google, working in Google Doc. So you should have a Google email, I think.
So we will first create an item manually. As Nurdan Hoca mentioned, these are available in the Google Docs. That there is an example dataset sheet from BIA. For this example, first to create manually, of course, we have to create an item that doesn't exist in the Wikidata. I have previously checked for demonstration purposes that one doesn't exist in Wikidata. At this moment, I also want to stress that unlike Wikipedia, testing is not an option, because every time you create an item, it gets a unique ID and that's iterated. So once you pick a spot, it will be taken forever. So I don't recommend creating items just to test. That's why I'm going to be creating an item that doesn't already exist. So for that example, I have highlighted Kyriakos Lambrionides. He exists already on the Library of Congress and YF, so notability is not an issue. So to create an item, we go to the main Wikidata page, and on the left side, we see create a new item link. Then we have to enter label. Every item has to have a label that to differentiate from similar or other items. So for this example, we will use Kyriakos. And we have to put in a description, descriptive description. So elaborate. I will use that are in the repository. So this is quite enough for the basics, but I will talk about the aliases part. This part is for, as previously before the lunch break, it was mentioned that some people has mentioned in alternative names, like shortened names.
Maybe Kyriakos has some nickname in Greek language, Greek something. We can write that one, yes? That.
Yes, exactly. If an archive has alternative written names for the person, we can write them in aliases. In this case, I don't have access to that information. I'll just create with this label and description. So we have created an item for Kyriakos Lambrionides, and he has an ID of a Q number. Now he's permanently created in Wikidata. So with the basics in place, Now we will want to enrich this item. For this example, we can immediately add existing repository link, since we have already created property previously. I will just
00112.
00112.
So earliest we applied to be a property in Wikidata, so it is already ready for person ID, for settlement ID. So when he clicked on that one, it automatically appears in the statements.
Okay, so we now have linked this item to our repository. So when we click this, you can see it is connected to this repository page. So you can see an information notice here. And this is before the launch, I was suggesting such user interface change. This information box suggests that when we add this property, we should also add human property in this human value also for this. So we will add human, as it says, suggests item should be also instance of human. So we will add statement instance of human. So as you see, that warning has disappeared as interface suggested us. So
can I ask one question, Hakan? There are some of the there in the labels, English, Turkish, American English. Can we write also their own language? For example, like can I write to the Turkish Kriakos Lambrinides and Araştırma Proje Direktörü? Can I write there?
Yeah, if you know that the translation and native label of that name, you can write any language you know. There are tools like label lists. So if you use this tool, you can add the language code. Like if you know Korean, you can add the labels and descriptions.
Maybe someone there is from Greece. Maybe someone can add to the Greek alphabet to the Greek ID, because now when we write to the search is the Greek alphabet, we cannot find to the Kriakos. But if you write to the Greek language to Kriakos Lambrinides, we can search, yeah?
Yes, let me share this link on chat.
Yeah.
So
I'm wondering what happens with different types of transliterations. So Kyriakos in English could be written in many different ways, and I would suggest the same could happen in Turkish maybe. So is the label that I add my own transliteration, or does it have to be an official one? And what's the transliteration system?
For these labels are only for the search, so it has to come from an official source. In this case, our official source is British Institute's source. So when you have a better source, you can also write that. Also, there is a property for native label, so that is different from the labels here. And when you write native label, this is used for the official name in native language of the person of interest.
If you write to the Greek alphabet on the Zoom chat, we can Hakan can add, yeah. because we haven't a Greek alphabet on our computers. If you write the Greek alphabet on the Zoom chat, Hakan can add it.
But there is an issue that here, Konstantina, because for the settlement names, for example, we had the same issue. What is the correct name in Turkish? So we decided to use, first we decided to use Getty, but after that we decided to use the Turkish Archaeological Settlement Database. They don't have database, but they have a publication anyway. So Thai, but for the maybe Gonja can correct me, but for the person names, we are checking the WIAF and the Library of Congress authorities. Are we taking WIAF or Library of Congress names, Gonja? Because we have to, this Kyriakos Lamdianidis is the same written as WIAF, if possible. If there is no authority, we are checking publications. What is the or our archival resource to find out the exact name in English or in Turkish?
Can I say that I think the default name for us should be the name in our archive. Whatever form BIAA use is the default name for our record. Whether there's a real name is a really difficult question, isn't it? What do we mean by real name?
Yeah. That is the issue. If you are the first provider to this like that,
Yep.
so what will be the exact resource to use? Sorry, interrupting, Hakan.
No problem. I think it's better to make it more interactive. So we usually, this is, as I'm doing this manual, but we don't really do this manually most of the time. There are, like, at the moment, over 100 million items. It is not possible to import this data all over. So when we do it automatically, like in bulk, we always use the what is available in the source.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. In our system, for example, sometimes we merge the items or we update the versioning. So let's say I wrote it as Kyriakos Lambrianidis. I realized that it is not Kyriakos Lambrianidis, for example, but it is the same person. So can I add another version of the real name, whatever it is, name for this person, also known as Lambrianidis, something like that?
Yes, that is also possible because there is also a merge function in Wikidata. This merge function, when you merge items with different labels but same item, like different versions of the name, it also adds it under also known as column. So it does it automatically if you merge on the Wikidata. So if there is a single item on Wikidata, you can edit and add other names, like whatever it is. Okay, let me check.
So by the way, I opened a column in the Excel sheet. If you want to try one record from the Excel sheet, you can choose one record. We can follow the record and correct afterwards.
Yeah, I'm editing.
Ne ekliyordum? Hangi yere?
So you have to choose the authority. You have to find two authority without Wikidata. For example, Jan Todt have two authority. So you have to check the Jan Todt in the Wikidata first. If there is no entry, so you can create Jan Todt and write your wiki username there. So we can check after the training. So I can just.
Yok GR değil. Ele.
Sorry, I forgot the language code for Greek, so okay. Now we have Greek label also. Also, other transliterations, we can add them so that it will appear in search.
So maybe it is better to write BIA Research Project Director instead of writing Research Project Director. Do you think it is better to say Research Project Director at BIA before sending our data to the Wikidata?
Yeah, if this research project director is only defined in BIA, so I think it's better to write it BIA research director, so that it won't, if there are other positions in other institutions, it won't be confusing.
Yes, and Alessandro is asking, can we start running some tests with our Wikidata account? I think yes, you can choose.
Do and ask questions about it, and we can just do it together.
And then you can number 3, I guess. Okay, Michael Balance. So you have to search first. This is the list that we made manually. So you will search Michael Balance first and check the authority links. Yeah.
Okay.
Şeyi göstersene şimdi girilmişleri. What is the entered labels to here? Yes. Now is the also when you are writing to search in the label Greek language, it is also showing to that found to this item.
So in this manual process, I would like also add one thing that when we create an item on the Wikidata database, we should also look for other items that we can connect them. Like in this case, for this example, on the Institute repository, we see that Kyriakos Lambrianides is connected to Madra Chai project. So if there is an item about this project in Wikidata, we can link their account. So I will just search. So, of course, I have done this before. I come prepared. There is a scholarly article, and when I looked the article, I see as external ID DOI. I see that they are first author for this article. So in Wikidata, this article exists, and now that we created item for him, there is an item for author exists, so we can link them together. Also, since in the academic article, his name is referred this way, we can also add this name to the alternatives.
Yes, yeah.
First, while we are at this page, as first author, we will add them. Author. Just copy paste the name so that. Okay. You see, as we have previously created, now they are one of the options.
Can we try to like this? We add to the firstly alias to K points like this, and then we can find it like this. Is it possible?
Okay.
For the shown?
First, let me copy the short name.
Yeah.
Then as I have recently created, I will just go to recent contributions.
Yeah, for example, now we are adding to alias to here.
But the search database might update slower than the ads, so that still we will try.
Now it's
Yeah.
not coming, but in a couple minutes, maybe you can cancel and then add again.
Who are testing the data, you have to choose the authority. You have to choose the record that have the authority, Library of Congress wire, and no Wikidata item. We will show the record that has no authority later. So it is better for you to find someone who has two authority in the Excel file and then no Wikidata to create a new item in Wikidata, because there is the Wikidata how can it, you have to find out, link your person to the scholarly article or the project and then add it in the Wikidata. So please choose the items that have at least one or two authority.
And now we have linked this article. So this is the manual process, which is a little bit hard, considering how many records in your repository you may have. Should we go through other created items by our participants?
Maybe they can show their own screen. Can we do, Nurten Hanım?
Yes, they can share their screen. I think it is okay to share their screen if someone wants to do.
I will stop now.
Alessandro, you want to share your screen?
Yes, sorry, but I don't know how to add the instance human. So I kind of, I was following the process that Hakan was explaining, but I do not remember. I added the ID, the BIA ID. I'll show you, but I don't know how to continue. Let's do that. I'm getting lost. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Coming.
Yeah. So I'm here. So I did all the first let's say I followed the instructions, but now I remember there is a human instance, because if I do that, if I go here, they say that the ID property should be instances of human. I don't know how to add this kind of instance.
Okay, you have done the hard part actually. It's
sorry, but I wanted to continue, but I do not remember what you did before.
okay. I was more focused on the property for the British Institute, so that might be slipped. So it is very simple. The property you have added a statement. The human instance is also a statement. You just
okay.
For each time you have to add statement.
So I do that, okay?
Yes.
And then what I have to enter in this field to
For this, as you have entered British Institute previously, now you have to enter instance.
Instance. Okay.
Instance of, yes.
Okay, this one.
Yes.
And then human.
Human, yes.
Okay, okay, right. So I've created this new record for the BIA. And I think can I check if can you check please, Dan, for me, because I have lots of windows open. So if I share others, you know.
Oh, you will go to the 00276?
No, I checked that out. So
Did it work?
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
There's a local identifier. So
okay, good. Constantly that's something.
I haven't checked. Oh, sorry, I haven't checked.
Check. Okay.
May I ask a question? I haven't checked if this name as an authority in the Library of Congress, name authority file, because you said that, I mean, in order to add a new name in Wikidata, do we have to provide obviously a source, a reliable source? If we don't find these people into the Library of Congress data sets or the BIAF data sets, but in other sources that might be reliable. For example, the Scottish Dictionary of British Architects. Can this be sufficient in order for us to say we have a source, we can add a new name that is not in Wikidata as yet?
Yes, that is sufficient, because the notability guidelines, I didn't share exact policy, but it says if it's defined, clearly defined somewhere in some database, it can be included in Wikidata.
Okay. Can I also say that if someone has chosen Michael Balance as an example to add into the Wikidata data sets, we have a link that could be added because we have some data about Michael Balance. So we have a link that we could provide, external link, which is our archive online catalog. Can this be useful?
Yes, those are useful because, as I said, many people don't do this manually. So there are always some people importing data from many repositories. There might be same person important. So as much as information you put, including the links to your archives, it is important and makes it more complete.
Can I share that with you right now so that you can use it by way of example if this record has been created on Wikidata? Can I share this link? Okay, thank you. I'll stop sharing. That fine, Nurdan?
Yeah, I found now I am trying to add something. Does anyone wants to share a screen and ask a question? And Constantina had a question, I guess.
Yeah, I can ask a question. I'm wondering when you add, for example, instance of human, and then in all of those boxes, it asks you whether you want to add a reference. Do we add these references, and are they? I guess they're not obligatory, but what do they offer, and how can we use that?
I haven't talked about qualifiers, but there is also qualifiers which includes references, reference websites, and reference text. So when you add some information that is not included in the external IDs, like in this case, British Institute at Ankara person ID, the repository doesn't have birth date or other personal information. So if you want to add information about birth date of a person, you need to add also a reference to it. So I can show you an example to add the reference. So if this person's birth date was published somewhere, it would be like I will just type random birth date. So this statement requires a reference. You need to use qualifiers. This could be an URL of a website or other IDs. So if this existed in some other website, we could use to reference this way. As Wikipedia does, Wikidata also require references for information we put. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And if I don't add it, does it block me from publishing?
No, it doesn't block, but it is some people, some other editor may come and just change it because it doesn't have a reference. They might put another information and or remove it completely.
Thank you.
Just a quick add. Alessandra sent the link to his the BSA archive. That is the thing that we are trying to do in this project, linking people with linking archives. So I will show one example and the question for Hakan. The Rome, the British school at Rome has this person in their archive. The link is there in the chat. So if you don't have property in the Wikidata for British School Rome, is it still possible to add this link? Or they have to be property first in the Wikidata?
Great,
this is the good question.
Yeah, great question actually.
Yes.
This is the we are saying in Turkish zurnanın zırt dediği yer.
That's a great question actually. Not all archives and databases have a property on Wikidata because properties are something of an infrastructural need, which is not always feasible, especially when you don't have so much records on your database. So there is an alternative that I will show you. So there is a property named described at URL. This is used for that purposes. Then you have a URL that describes this person, item, or information. You use this property to link it to your database. So
without being property.
Yes, without doing property. This will be also accessible by Sparkle. So and the search, when you are searching for integrated linked items, you can use this existing generic property to find relevant information.
Okay, what is the difference between the being properties and described at URL?
Well, it's hard to describe, but the main difference is that property has some constraints and formatting restrictions, which allows it to be technically limited. So when you use this described URL, it is open to mistakes, errors, and other factors that could mess your data. When you have a property, it is formatted according to your database format. I mean, database indexing format. So described at URL is just using your unique URL to match the data.
Okay, thank you. Because we are discussing this issue, should everyone create the database and create their own URIs and be a property for Wikidata, or will it be enough to have URL for people, some kind of URI, but link can change? I don't know. So it's good to know the the things. Also, it is for the Charlotte's chat message about the ancient sites, because they have
we negotiated.
sites.
We talked to Wikimedia in London, and we showed them our 2 databases, and we agreed with them that those databases would then be listed as properties. It was we established a relationship with them. And one of the things that's interesting for us is, we want each one of the BIRIs to have their archival records recognized as a property. Do we also want an overarching BIRI property for all of us? Or do we use the perhaps more economically, we use the Wikidata reference?
Yeah, that's the issue that we discussed, this Wikidata, because if they don't have any authority, so they don't add our person to Wikidata. So we must be a property to be in Wikidata, to be provided.
Exactly.
So we are the primary source for them as an archive. So if the person is not exist in the Wikidata, how are we going to harvest the Wikidata and then get the information? So first, there are this kind of relation. So first we will provide and then take, and then another GLAM Institute will provide, so that everybody will provide, and then it will grow. So there will be pool for us.
Yes.
To harvest. Am I right?
But interesting. The one question is, then you come to the notability question. Are you a notable person if you are in more than one BIRI? What makes you, how do you, again, the question we were asked out at the moment, right at the beginning, how do you get in? Into each one of our collections, we put all the named people that we have in our archive. But not all of those people will be posh enough, grand enough to go to the Wikidata Club. The Wikidata Club has, you have to have a recommendation to enter the Wikidata Club. And if you have 2 nominators, so you have a person who is in the Bilnas archive and a person who's in the Ankara archive, is that sufficient notability to qualify you for Wikidata? That would be my question.
Well, it's a community effort, but I can say that if it's only even if it's only in one archive, it is notable for Wikidata. Wikidata inclusion criteria is more flexible than Wikipedia.
Right.
Yeah, it's not similar to Wikipedia. It's more inclusive, but of course, the important thing as a volunteer and community member, if we are talking about persons, if the person is can be linked to a site with a statement, I think it's better. Like we have previous talk about, there is a statement called site archaeological site manager or some similar.
Yeah.
So when you are defining an archaeological site, you can add a manager to that. But if there is I don't know the terms, but a digger or...
Yes, exactly. The man who washes the pots. Here's my question always. What do we do with Ahmed who washes the pots? We don't know his family name, but we know that he washed the pots.
Yeah, but in Wikidata criteria, if we don't have enough information about them, it doesn't need to be included. So it will not be helpful information to have it.
And it's not so much a problem for us because we are interested in people who are in the more than one archive collection. That's our criteria of interest is this person, and very local people maybe in other archives, but they're not in the archives of other British institutes. They might be in the local record of the village where the excavation is, but that's a different thing. But that it seems to me that Wikidata is, I mean, I think the idea of using Wikidata as the hub for our people is extremely exciting. So that if each of our archive catalogues could become recognized properties with Wikidata, when then entering material would be extremely straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we can continue. I will send the James Russell example via chat. You can also listen and check this one. That is the example. We added research director and our property and everything.
Well, I'm going to show the Wikipedia Wikidata tool extension for the Google Sheets, so that when importing data, people can do some of the check on the Excel, like if the people on their repository already exist on Wikidata, searching by name.
Okay, he will show the tool and then we will have a break. If you want to continue during the break, you are free. If you want to take your coffee and tea, go and take your coffee.
It will be a short introduction, so no problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a tool called Wikipedia and Wikidata tools. You can access this one on Google Workspace, Google Spreadsheets. I have already filled this part with example. So there is a formula called, let me open the documentation also. There are a number of tools that you can integrate to your sheet, like a Wikidata search. In this case, name is C2. My formula just disappeared, but when you
delete the N and add just only with paragraph, so you have to write C2, it will work. We tried it before, yeah. Delete, delete, delete, delete, delete, delete. You have to delete that one also.
So?
And N, and N, yeah, that one. It should work now.
I think it's more about this function doesn't exist at the moment.
No.
Maybe extension is not enabled at the moment.
İsmini yaz direkt. Yani oradan ismini yaz.
Yok, search function. I will check this and maybe look after break. Okay.
Are we ready to start again, or shall we wait a few more minutes? Ready? Is there a way to change the order of the blocks in Wikidata or create a template? Is the question from chat. Welcome.
Order of the statements, there is you cannot change it, but there is only the differentiation between external IDs and other statements. External IDs always go bottom. So after you add any statement, if you refresh the page, you will see that external IDs go to bottom. But about the template, like design, Wikidata is more of a machine readable format, so that there is not a template for human readable styles.
Sorry, I meant, for instance, if I have, let's say, 100, 1,000 person that I want to include in Wikidata. My question was, could I, for instance, either batch the data or have a template and not having to include one by one statements, because it would really be very,
Okay,
it would take a long time.
I understand now. So there is no template, but you can add batch items. I have an example in my presentation. After this Google Sheet extension, I will show it. It is very easy to create thousands of items on Wikidata with the tool I will show.
Thanks.
No problem. Should I show it?
I think so. Everybody's here, I guess.
So the formula didn't work previously, but I just had to refresh this page and it works now. So it is very simple. Wikidata search. C2 is the column I will.
So you can think about it. You only names and surnames. So you want to get the Wikidata items for a list. We were doing it manually. So now we are having this tool. So you will have one column with the name and surname. So you don't have these columns in the beginning of your archive. So you will start searching Wikidata items.
I will show it in this example. So, like in an Excel formula, normally we just
cool.
Yeah. Right.
So this is a very simple check. Just search for the exact name in Wikidata, and if it finds a matching name, it shows QID. So this is not exactly reliable, but it's a start. Also,
Yeah, sorry.
Also, there are advanced tools you can write with Google. I won't be talking about it, but just to mention them. You could also write a script to search for Library of Congress ID on Wikidata, so that if there is a matching Wikidata item for that ID, since they have those IDs in this repository example, you can also find out QIDs going through that connection.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have the same surname and name and surname for two people, and one is your archaeologist, so if you don't have Library of Congress via, so you have to do it manually at some point, I guess, and then find a way to verify your person. In this case, we have Library of Congress links, so we can compare Library of Congress links with Wikidata IDs. But if you don't have Library of Congress and VIAF, so you have to go back to your archive and then try to find out this Wikidata ID is the correct person for you. Are we right? Because maybe the Wikidata is not correct for you.
Yes, okay. Now I will go ahead and talk about the batch import tool. There are several tools on Wikidata, hundreds of them, but this one is the most famous one for batch editing Wikidata. So this there is the documentation here for it. You can see the instructions. Here you can call this a template as it was previously asked. For each item, for example, person in your database, you create a set of comments, and you write them in a CSV format. And when you import it to quick statement, it does create and add the necessary statements one by one. So here I have an example for this sheet. I have prepared two items to create. Since let me check.
Because someone.
Okay, this second one already created, so I will just delete that one.
But we can show the why we are deleting. We can show we don't create
Okay.
that ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for quick statements, you prepare this Excel. As I said, is a set of comments for first create, then last means that this information we will add will be the last created item. So there are a list of information we are adding. I won't go into the details. If you are curious, you can ask me anytime. So when we create this set of comments, we just go to quick statements and we enter new batch, and then we just paste them here. Then if we import, it shows in a format that it will process the information. You can see that the English label, English description, and the British Institute at Ankara Person ID, Institute of Human, Occupation Archaeologist. These are all the comments we have added here. We don't have to add all the comments, of course. For example, we can remove occupation or instance of human, but it is useful to add as much as information since we are importing them in bulk. So when we have this batch ready to process, we just click run and it starts to creating them one by one. Since I have this one was already created, I won't run this process. But this is exactly how it will be doing the process of importing in bulk.
What is happening if we have an existed item in Wikidata? Does it give error, or it is an opening another one?
Yeah, this tool doesn't check if it exists. It creates new one. So
Okay.
this is a good question actually. Before you create this list, I mean batch process list, you need to eliminate the ones that existing by using the tools we mentioned before, like the matching IDs in other databases with Wikidata, and they should eliminate already existing items.
I have a question, Hakan. If I made a mistake and they created double, is it end of the world?
No, it's there are many items that are accidentally created. It also happens in bulk, so we can always delete it, merge it. The policy on Wikidata is not to delete duplicates, but merge them. But if it was created very recently, you can just ask it to be deleted. So it's not end of the world. It's not so much of a big deal. So this tool, quick statements, does run batch comments. This can be used to also create items. But in another example, I will also show you how to use quick statements to enrich existing items. This is for, imagine you have a database, you have already matched all of them to Wikidata, or partially, you know which ones integrated to Wikidata linked. So you can use this tool also to enrich the data with your information from your database. This tool can also do that. This could be more technical, but as you see, when we create items, we use last as the item created queue number. And this is more simple. We just put the queue name and the parameter for the statement we are adding. For descriptions and labels, it is defined as LD, a language code. For properties, it's even more simpler. You just type QID, property number, and the value. So we will try it in quick statements. We just start a new batch. Paste many empty spaces, so you just paste it. Now, what we edit is to edit existing item like this. So here we are adding English description to this item and BIA repository number 00005. And if we run this will just do it as we said. This was a very simple introduction to bulk batch editing Wikidata. If you have questions, I can answer.
Thanks a lot. Really great.
So I just wrap up the session for this lesson at least. So you have a basic list. So you know the names and surnames from your archive. So you don't need to do manual resource that we did with Gonja, with lots of interns to check the Wikidata one by one. So first you have to search the Wikidata items with the query, whatever you call it, with this tool, that you will get some Wikidata numbers. So you have to be careful in that stage that these people doesn't match exactly with your archive sometimes. So you have to check another authority. So if you have Wikidata ID, so you can go to property via Wikidata. So it is easy to get those links. If you don't have any Wikidata item, so again, you have to be careful because you are the first provider to Wikidata. So you have to check other resources. Maybe we will find out new tools to find out the Library of Congress and WIAF links to get. And then after that, you will be familiar with your data, saying this person is authorized by these authority files. And then you can safely send your data to Wikidata. If you are the only one person, only one archive having this person, then again you have to find a way to link, add statements for this person, like this is the author of this book or presenter of this presentation, whatever, to verify your data in Wikidata. So the next tool you will use is, are you going to add these things manually into Wikidata, or you will use this statement tool to create new items in Wikidata? And if you have an item in the Wikidata, so you have to enrich the content in Wikidata and send your ID to Wikidata. So you have to use that commands in order to create proper statement. So we are trying to write these guidelines. So if you try something after this training, send your comments to us. So when we provide the guideline, it will be a very practical document for all of other libraries, archives. So then we can follow the steps easily. So then Hakan will show something, I guess.
Yeah, and lastly, I will show how we'll be searching, or how we'll be querying this information that we have put on Wikidata.
We made it, all of them. What is working? Yeah.
Okay. So,
and also, I add one more thing about the licenses. The Wikidata is licensed by public domain. This is CC0. Why we are making this Wikidata? Because of this, actually. And this is CC0. It is public domain.
So any data you have put on Wikidata is no longer can be protected by commercial or other license restrictions. It is CC0, no copyrights issued. So
what is the copyright here? I mean, the person information copyright we are talking about.
Anything, any information you have put in Wikidata, like if you have in your database information about that person, you put that also in Wikidata.
I'm thinking how do they use our person data as a commercial way. I couldn't find it, but I mean, because we're only providing our links to you and adding content about person. So
for example, Wikipedia isn't CC0. Because of that, we cannot transfer information from Wikipedia to Wikidata. So if you put information on Wikipedia, like a population of a city, from a commercial database, it is not possible to put it on Wikidata without a donation first. So it is a matter of license restriction. It is more of that when you, for example, write information about a site, archaeological site, if that information is normally in your archive, copyright protected information, if you put it on Wikidata, it will no longer be protected by copyright. It will be public domain, as Zafer said.
But only this person information, not all the records information.
No, anything you put, not the information on your archive. The information actually transferred to Wikidata.
Because while we are linking, automatically we are coming more visible through linking Wikidata. But we have archival materials in our archive that we are discussing copyright issues still.
Of course.
Yeah, but when you link, those information still exist only on your archive. There is just a link from Wikidata.
Okay, so we are very clear that the link, adding information and the link is separate things.
Yeah,
in terms of copyright.
it's a matter of information transfer, not just link.
Okay, but if we write something here, that is the information.
Yes, if you
Okay,
write anything you write on Wikidata, like the items you create and information you have put statements, you are giving it away, just so you know.
Yeah, okay, so to make it clear, what is data, what is link, what is information, what is copyrighted.
So just quickly, I will talk about the queries. So the information available on Wikidata can be queried with the Sparkle interface. This I know that this is very technical, but I have just prepared some examples that you might explore in the near future, or maybe technical people you are in contact with can make use of it. So for these proposals, I have firstly, let me start with a simple query. This query will show us the items currently connected to the BIA database. So there are 12 items currently connected to a BIA database. So what would you do with this information? As I mentioned, since Wikidata has more information about a person, for example, if we wanted to query birth dates of these people, if the birth date exists, we can query them like this. Technically, this is, as we said, there is no copyright. This information could be integrated with very simple few clicks to any software system. You can see that many programming language, the exact code just to use this is available here. So this was a basic query to get birth dates. So if we want to more complex, like if you want to query people who were born after 1950, maybe 19, and you can see that we can customize queries to get more information about people's person or items in our database. So this is the query interface. I think it could be more technical, but you can see examples that there are many examples here, like map of hospitals, very in this technical space where there are many visualized examples also. We can, I think, go ahead with Q&A.
I am thinking the steps, because it is a circle. So you do something, you need the birth dates, for example, but you have to provide data, then you have to query again. And then you have to find the authority links, but you have to find a clue to go there. So then basic steps. First, we need to have basic Excel and then continue to grow, I guess, is the better way. Because
Yes.
we already spent a lot of time to create one list. So then we have to work on it to make a concrete list before sending it to Wikidata. And then I know ITANS has many papers, so some of them duplicated in their archives. Everybody needs some clean archive. And then so there is definitely manual work, and the automatic works includes for this person linking data issue, I guess.
Well, I went through your data, and I think it is you got it the hard part. Now it's easy to integrate because you already have authorities links for the two big databases. Just you need to work on a system to check those authority databases IDs for Wikidata, and if they are not existing on those two databases, then they already not really notable for the system anyway. So when you have a list with in terms of Wikidata language, if with external IDs from other databases, I think it's easy to go ahead and find the duplicates with them.
Okay, good to know. So we have to be familiar with these tools, I guess. The new library is an archivist. So and then use them for our life, make easier. So it will make easier.
Yeah, there is also another tool. Zafer and I very much football fans, so we work on football databases a lot. So in terms of football, we don't take Wikidata as reference, but we use, for example, Turkish Football Federation as database. And there is a tool called Mix and Match. In Mix and Match, you put all your repository information in an Excel file and put it on that tool. It automatically matches the candidates for Wikidata. Then you can just go step by step. This is a match, this is not. It's like a game. And go one by one for all of them.
Can you send a link to us? We can check.
Şehir editimiz.
Hı?
Şu an şehir editimiz.
Yok, linki açacağım ben.
Anyone trying to use these tools now during the training while he's explaining? Or everybody is so tired?
Is it funny? Because the Wikidata is very funny for me. When I am entering to something in the Wikidata, it is take hours in a. Sorry, ne?
Kamera açık.
Hayır, I'm only saying. It is. I'm spending too much time in a one night. For example, in 2 hours, 3 hours. When I'm entering to the one item, after that I'm jumping the other ones. It is taking so much time. Maybe Nurdan Hanım remember we made it together the Turkish museums list in a year ago. It take 1 or 2 weeks for me, and it was very funny for me because it is too much data. Its coordinates, the type of the museum, or the which connection to the other museum, something. It is very funny for me. And this is the good hobby for us.
Yeah. You learn new things always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for archives, great thing is there are already hundreds of archives connected to archives, libraries, and galleries connected to the Wikidata already existing at the moment, and in many different geographical regions. So when you integrate your data set and archive, it's exposed to unlimited of people, unlimited number of people and research.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for us to make to will be visible, and then maybe we can spend less hours to find out the person and people information. Okay, thank you very much, Dan. So it was very nice discussion for me, and so we will have using this tool more, probably, and discuss more during our meetings. Yeah, like Alessandra said, so it is better to use and be familiar with these kind of things, and then see next steps, and then what we face, what are the challenges, like the copyrights, ethics, and all these things, the notability criteria, etc. And after that, we will upload some data, probably, and we'll see what is happening. So is there a measurement that we can see how our visibility increases via Wikidata? Because there is no who is coming from Wikidata, who is going from to Wikidata, because we are linking, but who is going and coming? Is there some kind of statistical thing, or it's just we don't know who is using what?
Well, from my technical perspective, the view statistics is not really useful. I think for the exposure, we can measure how many databases your data set is being connected, and also we can find that how many languages it is available as your database items in your database available in how many languages on Wikidata and Wikipedia, maybe.
Yeah, that was the good example for the Greek language for person, because we have same person in Greece, Athens, and Libya, for example. We have different languages. So do you think is a better way to improve this, to make a query and add another language? The first one of us will upload the person, let's say, and the other one will add the name in their language via quick statement or manually. Is this the way that we can improve the content?
Yes, each repository if each repository have native labels, I think it's better this way to having one single entry and each repository importing their labels in bulk, of course, manually, not really useful.
Okay, then we will prepare our lists. We will write everything, check the Wikidata. If there is Wikidata, fine. This is the statement to add more information, then we will add. And then next step, that we will inform the other institute saying we uploaded this content, that can you check, and then write in your language, or they will create their own list and find the Wikidata. If there is Wikidata, enrich with their language is the way to, and always we need to check the Wikidata numbers first. This is the key for us, I guess. Any questions?
If you need any helps, you can reach us also. I can write my email address to here. You can reach us. We can answering your questions. If you have also ideas, it is also we can help you. Thank you. Invite us to do this event.
Thank you very much all for your contributions.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
Yeah, we have next steps to continue.
Thank you.
We will work more anyway, but
Yeah, it certainly makes more work for us.
Yes, more work.
But in the end, it will be less work. It's always the same with digital things.
It's fun and inspiring.
It's fun. Yes, and it's fun to work together.
Yes, correct.
Thank you very much all. See you.
Thank you, Nurdan, for making it all happen.
Thank you, Nurdan.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.